So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 26, and in this video we are talking about for loops because we need it. We created a database simulation, and we had with our database simulation a big problem. And the problem was if we tried to print these values out of this database. For example, I tried this one here, one fast as the day see out, and then I have to use all these names again, database mails, for example, and then I have to write to put this out, of course, the slot name which I want to put out. So for example, I want the first one, and then I can write here perhaps a fast new line, and then I have to write the next one. Let's copy this one fast. Copy, paste, and you see that would go on and so on and so on, and that's very inefficient. And think about it. We have a database means normally you have more than thousands, 100,000, millions of data perhaps in a database, and to print them out or to read them or to use them one by one like we did here and write it down, that would cost so much time. You would be not even finished just writing them down. So there must be a way to make it easier, and there is a way, and there are actually many ways. One way is to use a for loop, because there are many other loops and other structures which we can use, but we start with a for loop in this video, and let's get started. So we want to make now our life easier, and that's why we use the for keyword. This is the new keyword which we are going to learn. Then we have round brackets, and we talked about this in a short because these round brackets are very important. And then we have again our body of the for loop, which is activated later, and in this body we will actually just print this out. We copy this one again, we paste this here. We want to copy this out. So let's make it work, because right now what you can see is not working at all. And how does this work? We have here in our round brackets, we have to define 3 parts. So let's make 3 parts there. Okay, I have a start part, I have a second part, and I have a third part. All right, the first part is our start point, right? So and the start point, you can declare here a variable. That's interesting that we can declare in parentheses a variable. Let's do this and call it, and now that's also very important, it is called in 99% and so on, what you see on internet and in other forums or wherever. It is most time called I. And very strange is, I told you, never use a variable name short and undescriptive, but they use here I, and that is an exception. And why is this an exception? The reason for that is this I, everybody knows exactly what this is, because this I will only appear most time in a for loop, and this means a start point. Normally you would write here, if you would be absolute perfect, start point, and then assign a start point value to it. For example, 0. We start with 0, right? And this one is all time clear that this one is a start point. This is a general convention. Everybody knows this is all time the start point. And what I told you that you should not use, for example, is short variable names outside. The reason for that is outside, for example, if I would write here on top at int I, in this case nobody knows what this is, because in this case everything this I could be everything. My phone number, my house number, my whatever number, nobody knows. But in a for loop, everybody knows the first place is the start point of the for loop, so you can use it. That's the first step. So then let's go on. What we have here, we have now a start point. And what is the start point actually? When we watch it to our database, it is the start point, start element, and we start indeed with 0. Okay, we start also with 0. This is my start point. Okay, now I need an endpoint, right? I need a range, how far I want to go. And this one is on our second place. And in this place, we use a comparison operator, which we also learned. And how we do this, we use the variable, the start point, and say, as long as the start point is less than 4, for example, you should continue. Continue with what? With my loop later. And then, okay, why I used here the number 4? Very easy. I have to know how many elements I have. That's very important in our for loop, I think, at this point. Later, perhaps not. But at this point, we have to know exactly how many elements we have. For example, I know I have 4 elements. My start point is 0. But why I write here 4 and not 3? The reason for that is it must be less than 4, because then I have 4 elements. But you could also write something like that. Another comparison if you want. For example, equal, double equal sign means equal to 3, right? Or something like that. But less 4 is easier, because I know all time 1 more than the last element. It's very easy if you start from 0. So 3 is my last element, 4 less than 4, I have all elements. Okay, now we have the start point. Now also start condition, it starts with 0. Interesting is here this number you can choose later. You must not start with 0, but we start with 0 in general, so it's not too complicated. And at least as a starter, as a beginner, later they will probably use other things. Then we have a range, an endpoint till this loop will go. And now we need a way to increment this, right? Because this I must change, but right now we have no way to change this variable I. It should go all time up, right? From 0, then to 1, then to 2, then to 3. And this one is our third place. And we learned in the last video the increment operator, the short version, which you will see most time like plus plus increment, and we are incrementing this I. And we write it down. So we have done our definitions here, how the for loop should behave. It should start with 0 element, then it should go till the range less than 4. Yes, perfect. We have 3 here. And it should all time increment by 1. This is very important. Perhaps you can later even increment it differently, but here it means increment it by 1, because all time 1 step. Okay, now if I start this, we have still a problem. What is the problem? Our output. So what is the problem here? Because, okay, I have now defined the start point, I have defined the endpoint and the increment, but how I'm going to put this out? And actually, there is another trick here. Now we have defined this variable I can use this one not only here, I can use it in my body too, which means here. And this slot number here and here, this is just a number, right? And this I is also just a number which is changing over the loop. So instead of 0, I just write here I. And what does this mean is, if the loop starts, it has the value 0. If the loop starts, it will have here the value 0. And then it will check the condition if I is less than 4. Yes, 0 is indeed less than 4. then it will increment this I by 1, so it goes to 1, and then it will print out what is here, right? And when we give this now a try, let's see if this is right. Perhaps I made a mistake. This increment must be not true. But we see we have here code coder mail. Yes, that looks super man mail. And then we have here again coder mail. That looks not good. And the reason for that one is because it looks very good. The reason for that one is because I have not deleted this one. Sorry for that. So that was just the other one. Let's save this again fast. Let's go here and let's start over. Okay, now it looks a little bit better when we compare this one. Coder, yes, this looks good. So what we learned so far is now I can go with this for loop. I can cover a range, a big range. So this one can go thousands and millions, doesn't matter. I define the start point, 0, for example. I define the endpoint. Let's say I have a 1 million. Then I write here 1,000,001. If I is less than 1,000,001, and then it will increment it all by 111. And then I can put out or read or do whatever later with this I variable. So this for loop is very, very powerful and makes us our life very easy. And before I stop with this video, I have to mention something very important. This covers also the if loop. And the problem is you will see this is a very basic structure, right? So starter. But it can happen that you see not only in the for loop, also in the if statement, what we learned later, there are different appearance. Appearance, I mean, we learned, for example, how a for loop. What I mean is it can't look like this, for example, that they just defined the start point. They have not defined the second point and the third point, because there are special cases, and then sometimes they have not even defined anything, like this one can happen too. And yes, so be aware of that if a for loop looks not like what you learned so far, it can be happen that there are exceptions and then you have to research them. Or very important, this one too. For example, there are sometimes, most times even intermediate user don't know this one here, like, because they don't need it in general. These are very special cases that they can have attributes, for example, in front of the for loop that you will not see much time, can have attributes like something like in squares. There are square brackets and then they write here anything here. I don't like delayed or something like so. Delayed, and then they write, this is not the right attribute, but then they have here an attribute. Let me show you what I mean with attributes. Here are attributes, and then I jump. You see how the attributes looks like, and then I have to write this even in double braces here, like so. And then, yeah, these are very special cases. At the starting point, you don't need it. You see, they write here attributes, and here, for example, this one are the right attributes, not what I wrote there down. And don't be. So what I want to say is, if you see strange structures like that, just concentrate to find the keyword. And if you don't know the structure, why this looks like this one, then you have research a little bit, right? Because they are most time just attributes or special cases like I showed you here. For example, this one, and I can't talk here all in these videos about them because these ones are most time a little bit advanced. And the same goes for the if statement. Of course, you see there has also attributes or here an attribute, but concentrate all time at first of the keyword, right? If, and that's what you learned, and then you have here even optional statements and so on. So very, what I want to tell you is just at start concentrate on the keyword, the base structure, and then if it's not what you learned so far, then you have to research on the web, on your book, or and so on, and ask in general. So this video we stop here, and we will make in the next video a repetition and writing a program, because now we have a if statement. It's very powerful. We have a for loop, which is powerful, and we learned some structures in general, which is really powerful to write programs. And we are going to write a new program and use all that what we learned so far and repeat them. And yeah, that will be an exercise program, video. And yeah, that's very important. Training. Okay, see you in the next. Bye.